Snapped.
All right. Well, that's great. Let's open on my headset. Crack quality right here. I got one of those PlayStation Pulse Plus headsets. Freaking left side of the plastic cracked and hanging on by a thread right now. I tried to tape it up some, damage control to keep it from completely falling apart, but I could feel it's not like holding very well. This stinks. $150 headset. And it's broken in like 6 months after I bought it. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, it's like hang on, so hanging on by a thread. I got to figure out something what I can do with it. This is the worst. Anyway, you can tell it's been a while since I've been in here. I think the last time I was here, I just bought the bottom dollar bounties. I think I did one bounty and then haven't done anything with this game since. Been a while. I don't need to be in public lobby or anything. I won't. Oh my god.
What you carrying lately?
Everything feels so slidey right now.
What can I get you? Hey, let me know if you have any questions.
No questions.
Stay strapped.
I should have probably changed my outfit. Currently have no vehicle. Okay. There, I was driving last. Something tells me it's not gonna be good. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I have to adjust my settings.
What the hell?
What the hell?
Hell is this? So anyway, needless to say, I was obviously doing some dispatch missions, which is why car's out. Wow. All right. We need to adjust a little bit, huh? Playing too much like rocket racing and stuff. Back to GTA is like not as intuitive. Get up.
Oh, come on, really?
Oh my god. Can't even finish. You know what? I'm not fun with you yet. Come on.
Ah, shoot. Oh.
I cannot believe that snap. Oh, it's so broken. It's so bad. I can feel it.
A new luxury car is available to win. Stop by and have a try at the Lucky Wheel. a party at your penthouse? Speak with guest services and the evidence from last night's debauchery will be cleaned right away.
Welcome. There.
Hold on.
I already did that in the dungeon crawler. Nice. You rock, babe. Come on, Legs.
Who's with you people, huh? Are you drinking fucking mocktails? Losers?
Come on, Legs. What's wrong, Lauren? Nothing. I just wish the others were here. Oh, come on. We need them. Me and you. All aboard the Hot Mess Express. Can I get a choo-choo? Choo-choo. There we go.
Anybody selling any blow?
Where are the others? The cabs are on the way.
Alright, well, tastes a little better now, but
Time for another dare. What's going on?
this sucks.
Five habaneros.
Not a bad control. It's not a bad headset either. Got a lot of things that you could set to.
Okay, so I know a guy who manages a pill farm, right? His overhead is killing.
That has a lot of customization that other headsets just don't have.
Request received.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right, well. Sure.
Copy that. I've sent you the coordinates. Glad you're on the case. I've discovered the LSPD are protecting this group. Now there's not a dealer on the street willing to fuck with them. Figured someone with your background would have a vested interest. Just break up whatever's going down and confiscate the goods before they're spread around town. I clean up the streets. You turn the black market into a free market again. That's a profitable partnership.
I'm so rusty at driving. Wow, what are you doing right in the middle of the road like that? You deserve that. Pull over to the side of the road or keep going. Don't stop in the middle of it like that. Again. Boy, I turned a little short. All right, I'm a little rusty as shooting too, I guess. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the buttons are like all foreign to me. What happens when you don't play for like 4 months? Oh, I keep doing that. One is a run with L3. It's like every other modern game does that, and I haven't played this game in months. I've been playing a bunch of other modern games for months. Whoa! Aimbot much? The guy almost nuked me. Just the Halloween event for the first time, like, in years this year. A little disappointed by that. That was not worth it.
You have forgotten.
Assignment complete, officer. Money's in the bank.
You know that convent we used to sneak into, man? Yeah, man. I still got it.
Okay. Hell no. Love is just like the night. You make the night feel good. Yeah, yeah. I'll take care of it. Because even though I'm the owner, I guess I'm also the bouncer. I only have. I usually have like 40, 50 million. I must have spent a shit ton on the bottom dollar bounty.
You
I do
don't
remember
breathe
buying
and
all
breathe
those
down my
police
neck,
cars.
okay?
They're all like $3, $4 million. Oh, calm down. Uh, change my clothes. Man, I could hear him. I do remember the last time I played this, I finished a very important part of finishing the nightclub's tier 4. Got drunk 100 times in the
Hey
nightclub.
there, boss.
Pain in the ass. But one of the things that did come out of it was I got the Kiflam shirt. Got the Kiflam shirt, which is one of the rarest shirts in the game that you can currently own. You know, like there are rare shirts, but that's because they dropped like once for one weekend in 2018. It'll never come back. But the Kiflam shirt is still available, yet still one of the most difficult shirts to pull because you have something like a .05 1% chance, like a 1 in a million chance, basically, of getting it activate. Do it. Where's the shape? Where did it- Anyway, get this shirt. You have to drink in your club. Drink the Macbeth shot, the killer shot. It's a one shot killer because you take one shot and it's going to kill you. Um, Sometimes you'll wake up in your club in different places. Sometimes lying down. Sometimes in the bathroom throwing up. Sometimes you'll wind up outside in different places. I've oftentimes wound up outside in the gutter in the back alley there, but also wound up in some weird places up on hills in the middle of nowhere and stuff like that too. But what you're looking for is you want to die, and when you die, you want to get spawned back in, and when you spawn back in, you want to be at the Kiflam building, to be standing on top of the Kiflam building wearing the Kiflam shirt. And when you do that, you've achieved greatness. It's a very, very rare thing. Uh, like I said, something like a 1 in 1,500 chance that when you take that shot that it's actually going to work. A lot of times it's just going to send you into weird places. A lot of times, a couple of times, it would send me to Mount Chiliad, to the alien hieroglyphs on the top of the mountain in my underwear. Uh, that doesn't do anything. The only thing that there's two reasons why you want to do this. One, get your tier 4. You have to have 25 celebrity appearances. Got that done. Keep your nightclub popularity 100% for 10 hours. Got that done. Earn 50 mil or more. Got that done. You have to unlock 8 platinum awards for after hours. And that is where things get a little dicey because those are very, very long and very arduous and very monotonous and boring. These are the 8 that you have to platinum. As you can see, I platinumed 7 out of 8. I got 1 left to go. I have to dance with Black Madonna 31 minutes. That's it. That's all that's left. This one was the easiest one. You only have to dance for like 30 seconds to each of the club DJs. There's 4 club DJs. Uh, I had to dance for an hour to each of the club DJs so far, except for Black Madonna, which I've only done 29 minutes. And there's the one where you have to get drunk in a nightclub. You have to do it 100 times. I mean, it says any nightclub, but really, it's easiest to do in your nightclub. Although I may have gotten drunk in a couple of other people's nightclubs back in the day. I may have counted, but yeah, when we're done with this, this is the only other one that I've finished so far. Got the LB Organics fan. As far as I know, this is a very rare item. You can only get it through this. This is the only thing that's rare in all of these. Most of these tier fours are kind of dookie because they give you stuff mostly that you already own or that's very accessible and easy to own. This one was one of the ones that people were excited about because you can get the car before it came out, but now it's out. You can buy for yourself and save yourself the trouble of doing all this nonsense that's asking you to do. 10 platinum awards for bottom dollar bounties, and I guarantee you each and every one of them is impossible to do. I guarantee you each one is like uh, get 5 million in bounties when you can only get 100,000 at a time on one of them, and like 20 to 30,000 on every one other one. You're all bounty targets alive 24 times. You have to keep going through until you get each and every individual one. I guess I didn't take mine alive. And you could send out your two bald bondsmen to go and do extra work. As you can tell, it's not very profitable. I sent them out once, got less than 16,000. Oh yeah, look at that. 5 million from securing eliminating bounty targets. 54,000. That is terrible. Because beyond that, you have to do levels 1, 2, and 3 first before you get the 4 in terms of unlocking. I mean, yeah. Look at this. Look at this. This is what they give you. Stun gun finish. Like anybody's gonna look at my stun gun as I'm stun gunning. Do like the fact that they always give you in the beginning. First ones are always, obviously I was wearing that bottom dollar jacket. Um, that's always cool because like when the new things first start, like day one, it's so easy to get these done. There's literally you get that always done on day one, which was also especially cool for the chop shop because on the chop shop day one, I was able to get Red's cap, and then this was very easy to get too because I only had to salvage like 4 or 5 vehicles to get it. Well, 5 or 6 maybe. But I had that done in like a couple hours. Then I was able to get the cool jumpsuit, which I wore for a long time doing the chop shop. It was fun. I can get this done fairly easy. I only got one left to do. Maybe that's what I should do. Be running around in that tracksuit like you said. Wow, I did 7 out of 10 of these. I only completed bonus challenges once. Done at least 4 of these things. I've done a couple of them mainly because you get free vehicles out of it some weeks. So it's worth it. I haven't gotten a ton of it because I only got less than 2 million in the cars. 7 out of 10 unlocks switch. Wonder. But anyway, I'm getting back to what I was saying before. Unlocked like 8 platinum awards. What's 6 out of 8? Whoa. Whoa. No. I have 30 whole minutes to dance to this guy too. Oh, I thought it was full. It's just 30. Oh, my nightmare's never gonna end. I have to dance for 61 minutes. Oh, the best thing to do in this situation to dance a couple of minutes, go do something. Dance a couple of minutes, go do something. God, I'm stuck in person. Oof, settings. I need to set up the light up a little bit. Dark it. All right. The worst part about it is you can't just stand idle. You have to have something in the circles. Doesn't have to be all the way up, but there has to be at least one of these, more than one of these circles full to get credit. You can't just stand there in the dance motion. You have to actually dance. This is riveting. This is so much fun. Like to go to cinematic view because it looks pretty badass. This only entertains me for about 2 minutes though, and I get annoyed at just the fact that I'm still doing this for an Enos Stafford, which costs I think like 900,000. I'm not sure if it's in the game right now though. I think it might have been one of the vehicles removed in the Great Purge of 2022 when they decided to lock previously unlocked vehicles behind a paywall called GTA Plus. It was absolute crap, by the way. It was just a proving ground so that they could see how they could charge us extra money for GTA. Because like with any AAA game nowadays, they want to sell you a battle pass. You don't have to buy the battle pass, but if you want the cooler stuff, you're gonna have to pay through the teeth. You don't buy $70 games anymore. A $70 game is just a portal to you spending more. Whether it's skin exclusive like Fortnite, say for instance, or pay to win like some of these other AAA games are. Like the most egregious was like Avengers. I loved Avengers. I mean, I put a few bucks in, and quite a few bucks into Avengers, getting all the cooler skins. They said they would never go pay to win, but then when the game was really suffering and the player count was down, they started to try to sneakily put some pay to win mechanics in there. It wouldn't have affected the free players. They just would have gone up much slower than if you had paid to level up. And they swore they would never do it, and then like a year and a half in, they did it. and it turned off a lot of the dedicated players and turned a dying game into a dead game fairly quickly when a lot of the regulars, the people that were keeping it afloat, left. Like once the devs lose the players' trust, there's really not much they can do to get it back. I mean, Suicide Squad was another, I think, game where people were sold on something but got something else. They didn't want to announce that it was an open world game. They didn't want to announce that it was one of the freemium games. I can't even call it a freemium games. You're paying to get into it, and then you're paying more on top of it. Live service is the best way of putting it. Uh, but people were turned off fairly quickly by that. I mean, the audience has spoken. They don't want live service games. Very few people could do it right. And I don't know. Seems like the superhero genres just can't do it right. I will say, in order for a live service game to be interesting enough to hold its player count, you have to introduce a constant stream of content. And Avengers, because of COVID, and Suicide Squad, because of its failure to launch and just never having a good player base, they cannot deliver on the goods. They cannot deliver on these constant updates that they were planning, or the updates that they did have were delayed, 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 leaving the player base to play limited amounts of games, game modes, and game types and maps. Um, but in a live service game, it's just supposed to be it's never ending. So the loop in the game modes and the loop in the maps came around all together too quickly, and then you just kept grinding the same modes and the same games and the same maps over and over and over again because there was no other new content. You were limited to like 7, 8, 9 things at a time, and nothing new came. And that 7, 8, or 9 things can only interest you for so long before you just start to get turned off by just the cyclical nature of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And when you've mastered it and perfected it, that's when it really gets boring because now you're just sleepwalking through it. You're just going through the motions just to get loot, going through the motions to get materials, going through the motions to get better gear. But for what? There's no other content to use that gear on. If you're good enough to beat all the grindy levels over and over and over again, then what's the purpose of getting better gear? I don't know. In the end run, it really just boils down to the fact that these games come out half baked nowadays. Nobody releases a full, unpatched, ready to go game out of the box anymore. Everybody introduces the start of a game that's going to require constant updates, constant DLCs, constant hot patches, constant bug fixes, constant, maintaining and beta use and just all this weird stuff that they have to do to get a game up and running, that a game that comes out now probably won't be seen in its complete form until like a year or two from now. Like the only games that probably escape this are the yearly games, and that's only because they have to constantly deliver a new version of the game, whether it's a new Madden, a new 2K, a new Call of Duty every year to keep the shareholders happy, to make more money. So a lot of times those games never see their true form. They get a few updates in the beginning. And I mean, I'll say like a lot of them get good content drops, like there is constantly new seasons and stuff in 2K nowadays, and Call of Duty obviously has its seasons and DLC maps and such. But these things are all predetermined pretty much before the year comes out. I'm talking about like fixes and hot patches, things that will make the game run better, smoother, faster, more like what it's supposed to. A lot of times that, I play 2K. There's so many broken things still in that game, and it's been out for over 2 months now. But they just can't get it right because they're trying to maintain across multiple platforms a game that is demanding of, you know, by its customer base demands quality and better play, and it no matter what, you're never going to make them all happy, but there's certain things in the game that are just so broken and they won't fix them though. Like there's just I don't know, just whether it's getting booted in the middle of a game or at the beginning of season 2, after games you couldn't leave the rec lobby. You'd have to close app. That's the only way to get out of the rec lobby. A lot of times games would launch when not everybody was ready, or games would launch and one person would get booted before we get out of the loading screen. I mean, like just silly stuff like that. And months later, these things are still not getting fixed. It just, if it was a glitch where they were losing money, like broken VC glitch or something like that, you better believe that I get patched day one. But as long as the game is churning just enough and doing its bare minimum, the content creators seem happy nowadays because you better believe they're already hard at work on NBA 2K26. It's less than 10 months away. So the next one comes out. And they have to make one for the Switch, they have to make one for the PlayStation, for the Xbox, they have to make one for the PC. They got their hands full. So it's a meat factory. They're just churning out the meat. Once the meat's out, they don't care how it tastes. They don't care what you do with it. They're too busy making more meat. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think you get the picture. Games nowadays aren't games. They're not full complete games. They're the shells of what they're meant to be. You know, a to be continued. One after the consumer buys it and starts playing it. Its final form in a lot of ways. Some games, their final form, we aren't seeing until years after they release. And you better hope that your game is popular enough to withstand the criticism of a half completed game. I do remember like when the first Destiny came out, I was so excited. And you're playing and you have these different planets. You have Earth, I think it was Mars and Venus or something like that. I don't remember. It was like three, Uranus maybe. There was like three planets, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, so they're going to do like the solar system. They're expecting 8 or 9 planets, depending on whether or not you count Pluto as a planet. Some people do, some people don't. I mean, it's just a big rock in space. It's a meteor, not a meteor. It's a satellite. It was definitely a moon at one point. Just because it has its own orbit doesn't make it a planet. But that's besides this aside, not me. Regardless, you're thinking to yourself, all right, well, I got all these other planets that I'm going to get to go to when but that never happened. They had those same three planets. And then later on, they started releasing DLC, But that core game for the first few months, you finished all the stuff that it had to offer within like a couple of days, and the rest of the time was just spent grinding light, which is their version of leveling up your character, trying to get your max light. And that just required you going into the same caves over and over and over again, grinding, 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 loot grinding, killing the same enemies over and over and over again. And they don't deviate, they don't change. They spawn in the same place every time. You're doing the same thing to kill them every time. Getting out of that cave, you're going to find another cave, right back in, to do the same thing again. And that was my first like real experience with like that kind of game, that grindy, boring live service game that they were offering. It didn't sit well with me. It was you could tell that the game was only half finished in its release form. They touted this game as like the next generation of gaming, and it was so disappointing that I didn't even bother with Destiny 2. I just was, I don't know. I remember grinding it for like the first 2.5 weeks, and I wound up selling it to a friend of mine that wanted to try it out for $20. I bought it for 60. And this was like a month after the game came out because I was just so annoyed after the first 2 weeks. Well, it might have been like 2 months after the game came out because I did get one of my characters to max light, and that was not, you know, done quickly or easily. I mean, easily actually, yes, because once you know, practically had the whole thing memorized at a certain point, and I knew where all the enemies spawned in, and I knew exactly how to take them all out. I knew the end game. I could do it with my friends. I could do it with myself with some randos. It just got boring after a while. I did like the light bike, but I think it was only because it reminded me of Return of the Jedi. So I sold it. Probably, I don't think I got any of the DLCs. I think I sold it before the DLCs, or maybe I got the first DLC and then I just like gave up because I was just like, it was not my cup of tea. It wasn't what I thought it was. And the multiplayer too, they had multiplayer maps. They were trying to do some type of Call of Duty-ish type of multiplayer. But I remember that like KD didn't matter or wins losses didn't matter. I don't remember. There was a major stat. It might have been both. Wins losses and KD didn't matter. It was all about doing certain things. I don't know. Their multiplayer was whack. It was I would do team death matches and stuff like that, and there it was nothing like any other type of PvP that I ever played. It just led me to just realize that it was just kind of boring, same old, same old. This music is loud. What? I said this music's loud. Imagine if I was dancing to the wrong group. Imagine if all this was from nothing. Oh, this is putting me to sleep. I am taking a good chunk out of it. I am, however, getting bored now. Slowly running up. I'm done pressing buttons for you, game. All right, stop. So stop. Just make sure I was dancing. And now I'm worried now, like, did I dance to the right group? I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure Tale of Us was the one that had a half hour left. I know Black Madonna was the other one. I must have knocked off at least 10, 15 minutes there. Please tell me I knocked off that. Oh my gosh. Fuck it. Only 11 minutes away. Whoa. Gordon, club business coming through. Get wild. Get wild. Talking about the state of gaming in 2024. Crazy. It's crazy that the industry is completely relying on GTA 6 to save it from itself, really. Kind of like the fall of the 1983 video game downfall all over again. It kind of in the way that you release some pretty awful games, some of the worst games of all time, some of the, games that just people put hundreds of millions into that made nothing on the back end. Like E.T. for Atari 2600, Pac-Man for Atari 2600. In particular, they're always the poster children for the downfall of video games in 1983 and the downfall of Atari. But it was more than just that. I mean, they were the straw that broke the camel's back, but there was a very real issue with. I'm not trying to stay on. There was a very real issue with quality control. Atari did not regulate its games the way that future generations like Nintendo would. They didn't have any type of lockouts or restrictions. If you knew how to make an Atari game, you could release an Atari game. There was nothing that Atari would or could do about it. And so awful, awful, awful games were just pouring into the market by the early 80s. Some commercial games like Kool-Aid Man, um, some triple X games like Custer's Revenge, where uh, Indians are trying to capture white women to rape. I mean, you had to use your imagination with the graphics because they're all just a bunch of stick figures. But believe me, there was definite sex being had on the screen. Seen YouTube videos of it purely for research. Crazy, but just You wonder what early '80s video game sex scenes look like. Rough. The point is that a lot of this crap was entering the market, and people felt like they're continuously getting burned because they didn't know much about the games. You know, they see they see the big guns, you know, the Space Invaders and stuff like that, costing like $40, and they see these lesser games made by companies that you've never heard of for 20, and they go after, you know, they say, oh, I'll save a few bucks and buy this game, not knowing any better. Game's complete garbage, and then they just wasted $20. It was basically shovelware before shovelware existed. You know, they were just throwing out the cheapest, garbageous stuff. They were deluging the market, just like saturating the market with awful games. And Atari did not help itself any by making its own awful, awful, awful games. And that led to the downfall of the video game industry in '83. It took Nintendo coming in and selling its video game as an entertainment system with a robot that only played two games and didn't work properly. But it was a way to show that it was a toy, not just a video game. They were trying to shake the bad stench of the words video game and, you know, what people saw them as, you know. And they put restrictions on who could make video games and how many video games a year they could make. They had lockout chips so that nobody could just walk in and, you know, start making games. They had to go through Nintendo to buy the shells and the ability to have the games played on their system. So they control the market. They decided who can and who can't make games for them. They had a 3 game per year limit. You're a major company like Activision, you can make 3 games a year for them. You're even a smaller competitor who could churn out cheap games quickly, still only make 3 games a year. So you better make them the best 3 games you could. A lot of companies started making second publishing houses underneath the same umbrella, just so they could make an additional 3 games each year. It's where you got companies like Acclaim and stuff like that, and LJN, awful, awful companies that made awful games, but they were only allowed to make a couple awful games a year. So even if some of the games slipped through the quality control the strict quality control that Nintendo put on the games, it wasn't many. It wasn't thousands of games like with the Atari. Leave it to Atari to figure out a way to break the lockout chip too. Their business was flailing, so now they're making games for other systems, including Nintendo. But they didn't like, you know, being told what to do. They liked being, you know, innovators. They didn't like being in the back seat and having Nintendo in control. So they didn't like the fact that they could only make 3 games a year. So they figured out a way to reverse engineer the Nintendo, and they found out how to break the lockout. They started making illegal cartridges. Well, they weren't illegal. They were not allowed by Nintendo. They did not have the Nintendo seal of quality. That was one of the big things. Every game that was approved by Nintendo had the Nintendo seal of quality on its packaging. So Atari made another uh, company called Tengen that would release bootleg Nintendo's copies. Basically, they made their own uh, cartridge shells. Nintendo, they would make the shells for every game. Didn't matter if it was a Nintendo game or another company making a game for the Nintendo. They would make all the shells, and they would sell the shells to other companies, like I said, to that way they can control who makes things for them, who doesn't. Tengen found out a way to make the shells on their own and break the lockout in the process. So they started making illegal versions of Pac-Man and stuff like that under the Tengen label. They went to court. Uh, by the time Atari was no longer allowed to make these cartridges, it was already too late. Like it was already like Atari didn't. Did Atari win or did Atari lose? That's gosh. I am very tired right now, and I cannot remember if Atari won or lost. But I do remember ultimately they lost. Even if they won there, they lost in the big picture of things because their businesses continued to flail. They tried one last time with the Atari Jaguar. They sold it as a 128-bit system when it wasn't really, and it never got gained any traction or momentum. And the old Atari as we knew it closed down, got sold name only to a bunch of other publishers. And now the Atari that currently exists is has nothing to do with the original Atari other than having its IP, its intellectual property, its the rights to their games, and they've done a really good job. I got the newest Atari game. Was Atari 50 anniversary edition. It's uh it's a detailed history told through different pictures and videos that they made of their 50-year history. There's how they started up, how they were the first to do a lot of they did a lot of firsts in the video game industry, and their eventual downfall. It tells the whole story, but it tells the story through posters, through old instruction booklets and old box art, and from the people that are actually there. But it also tells the stories through the games. They did a lot of unique games. They were the first to really have success in the home video game market, like serious success. And a lot of it stems from the titles that they were creating, not the titles that others were creating. Although some of the greats like Pitfall and stuff like that were, made by Activision, which was Activision was founded, by the way, by Atari developers. Atari 2600 developers were not getting any credit. They were getting paid hourly. They were getting paid pennies on the dollar for what they were doing. um, they weren't getting anything on the back end of a video game that they would create. It was just on to the next project. It was just like, 40 hours, do your 40, I say 40 hours. A lot of people worked 65 hours back in those days. Do your work at the salt mines and then go home and just be happy you have a job. But they also weren't getting credit. And a lot of these guys wanted, their name somewhere, maybe in the instruction booklet, maybe on the box. These guys are pouring their heart and souls into these games. And ladies, there are a few ladies in Atari time too. They're very progressive. But the thing is that a lot of times these games are being developed by one, two people over a 6-month period, and they're just giving their entire lives to these games. Not like it is now, where it takes armies of thousands to put together a AAA game. Back then, it was one, maybe two people. That was it. And they were just it was them versus the world. They had to find a way to make it work. They did. So anyway, these Atari employees were just not happy with the status quo. They wanted more credit, they wanted more freedom, creative freedom, they wanted more, they just wanted more. More than what Atari was willing to give them. So they left Atari and started up a little company of their own called Activision. Activision, pretty much, they all came from Atari. This was back in the Atari 2600 days when they left, 1980, 81, maybe. Maybe a little later, maybe. No, probably, it's got to be like 80 or 81. It's got to be around then. They weren't flailing by any means. They knew the system. They weren't coming in like, some of these other people in the industry who were coming in, not knowing the system. They had already developed dozens of games by then, each of them, for the system. They knew the system inside and out, and therefore were able to create games on par or better than the current Atari engineers were. And they hit big with Pitfall, River Raid, games like that, sent them into the stratosphere. And they, were able to live far beyond that system, so far beyond the 2600, to now where they're, you know, behemoth owned by Microsoft that, you know, makes one of the biggest, yearly games, Call of Duty franchise. Um, Activision has its hands in a lot of different games, a lot of different systems. They, them, EA, were all founded in the infancy of the Atari 2600. Still exists to this day. Long after the system that brought them to prominence died. It's kind of funny if they didn't shake things up in their status quo and move beyond uh, being under the arm of Atari, they never would have been. Forget about being what they are today. They still probably wouldn't even be in the industry. Period. They would just be another forgotten company that died out when Atari died out. Or they would just have been former employees of Atari. Just funny that they survived console war after console war, generation after generation of consoles. Stand tall now as like the behemoths of the industry. Square Enix, that was another one. Um, Although they sold out on a lot of their stuff, not as big as they used to be now. They got destroyed by the Avengers game. Lost hundreds of millions on that. Sold off Tomb Raider. Um, but Square Enix used to be called SquareSoft back in the day. It was first founded. I think they eventually changed their name from SquareSoft to Square Enix because they didn't want to be thought of as a company that made computer games anymore. They were they were big in the early PC days, going all the way back to like Apple and I think Commodore 64, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I had a couple of their games for the Commodore 64. I have to be done with this by now, right? It's been 11 minutes. Thank gosh. It never gave me a thing. Or maybe it did. I was in the freaking stupid cinematic view. And look, see.
The ride is all there. Thank you. You throw a very good party, bro.
Yeah, goodbye. I never want to hear your shit. Let's get this back first. Then switch to Black Madonna. I am not dancing Black Madonna. I do want to switch to her so I won't forget. Finish this up. Why come back on Flower Fish? We're so close. Hello. Uh, hi, tell of us. Hello, Black Madonna. I want to dance for 1 minute to it so I can get the gold. What's this dance? I'll know for the last half hour of this. I have just under a half hour now. Crazy thing about it is this car, very cheap. But like I said, it might be locked behind the paywall now. This might be the only way to get it. And I don't have it. One of the few early cars that I always wanted and never got. I don't know why I didn't get it. I think by the time I had the ability to buy it, by the time I had the money train rolling in, that I no longer desired it. It was one of those cars when I first saw it, though. I was like, that's cool. I want that. People would stand on the sides and stuff. It was cool. Oh my God, I'm stuck. And the controller is ever so slightly. Oh, yeah. Look at this shit. Thank you.
Boss is here.
Black Friday. I have two controllers. This
And a spiritual Brazilian.
Borisville.
You know how important this is to me. Where the hell are you? Georgia. Why the fuck would you take movie star away? Are you a goddamn fool? You get here faster if you walk, okay? glad.
Good to see you.
Oh yeah. Where is this thing? Anyway, the thing got shut down a long time ago. I just didn't start ordering. I don't make money like that anymore in this game.
Hey, you know what you just saw? You just saw potential. Get these supplies and you'll turn those empty rooms into a real...
Yeah. This is not that far away. Nailed it.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, man? Hey, nephew.
I've got to give you the number of that headshot guy.
Proof yet again that this game was made in 2013. Yeah. Nobody calls people nephew anymore. Like, bro. That's pretty fast. Huh. Oh, a while since let's start up one of these things. I forgot this truck in this is. It's not as cool as the LP Organics. Oh. What the hell? Well, yeah. Oh shit. Wasn't the minion up there.
Hello?
You have a fucking pet thing.
Oh shit. I got like fur boost and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. Hmm.
You idiot!
Oh, you're lucky. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. It's called. Yeah. I love how they fucking things.
You still owe me a drink. I don't like bitches. You try.
I was like, what is this? And I was like, it's gotta be my bail bond place, but I have no idea where it is. Sure enough, I was right. Guys, I'm getting all the passive stuff ready.
Sure.
Let's go do something. Go on your thing.
Sure.
Oh, base in your body. Back after that, so you guys can work. Well, let's go all the way. Go all the way. So if it was one of the vehicles that you can keep for free, it would tell you their vehicle. Alright. Especially good. Wow, I was gonna do a whole one. Really just here to do something else. Gotta make some of this money back for all the freaking money I spent on $5 bounty. $5 bounty bull. I have a hard fast rule. I don't drive this thing more than 2 miles. It's like right on the periphery of what I accept as a mission worth doing. But I would close app or switch to a new lobby. I myself spawn back in a tow truck business and re-roll. I'd rather do that than drive this thing 3 miles each way. Or even 2 miles each way. Ah, we'll go this way. Clear out me. Oh my god, this thing is such garbage. What the hell? You deserve that. I'm shooting with a tow truck. You're gonna lose.
I knew it was you. I finally got one of those phones that shows the number of...
Oh, that's not tough. Buying the car back, this is a pain in the balls because you saw I hit like 3 things along the way. Even if I wasn't wrestling the game, I'm bound to hit something. But the other thing is, over time, it just comes off of the hook. Not 100% secure. You have to be careful about how fast you go because you're going to cause it to come off the hook if you go too fast. Thankfully, you can't do any more damage to the car. Like, you're not going to get reduced pay. Car comes in with a broken window, windshield, whatever.
We'll salvage the parts and get paid in no time.
One down, one to go. There's a short delay. When did this happen? That was not part of the game earlier. Jump right back in the thing right after you deliver your first one and get the second. Well, I mean, oh, thing had the black bit on it. Oh, one. Is that enough of a short way? Oh, you're the worst. Can't believe they implemented a cooldown for the freaking tow truck. Come on. You make like almost nothing on these things. You make like 30, 25, 30,000 for lousy cars and up to 45,000 for good ones. It's like terrible. It's a terrible way to make money. I could go make money so much faster. That's, I want to know how long the stupid cooldown is, man. The worst. Why have a cooldown? If you play these two things, you want to just pop them both back to back, maximize your profit. Lord knows you charge me enough for the extra person, like extra, what, 750,000 a mil? I'm ready, paying to win. We go win. Not much, I thought so. Do it the old-fashioned way. The hustle and the grind. Okay. I will say though, GTA is guilty of a lot of modern gaming sins. Oh, so far. I am so tired. Yeah, sometimes the grind is very real in GTA. Lord knows that they take a very long time between releasing the game and actually coming out with content. GTA 5 came out. Took them quite a while to put content in the game. And then even then, when they started putting content in the game, it was very limited. They had promised heists within like 3 months of the game launching, and it wound up taking them over a year. Like that. Red Dead, same thing. Red Dead was in beta for like a year, and no new missions came out except for the missions that are already built into the game practically. I don't think there was much that came out early going. So once you got yourself up to that level 100, once you did all the missions already in game, there wasn't much to do while we were patiently waiting for the game to come out of beta. The game came out of beta. We got some cool stuff to do, but it was sporadic. It was only every once in a while. It wasn't often. And it's entirely too early because it wasn't making enough money.
All right.
I had to worry about their
Go
big cash
salvage the
cow,
parts
GTA
and get
6.
paid in no time.
So we started sending all the programmers away from Red Dead slowly but surely. They were just cycling Red Dead 2's devs, programmers to feed the GTA 6 beast, and then they made the decision that GTA 6 was a bigger priority than Red Dead 2's continued development, and they discontinued DLCs for Red Dead 2 like 2 years after they started coming out with them, and 3 years after the game came out. Meantime, celebrated this game, GTA's 11th anniversary recently. They're still releasing new content. There's going to be a new drop coming out in December, new DLC. It'll be the most modern game that they have, with the biggest chance to put massive DLCs and massive development changes and massive like changes for the better to it. They chose to continue to develop this aging behemoth. Kind of crazy. I was a big Red Dead 2 fan. I would have liked to see more content. I do like some of the content that comes out nowadays, though. Like for instance, this one right here, this was a really good content drop. Doing the big heists are actually fun. I don't hate the tow truck thing. I hate driving it long distances, but I actually kind of like it as a money making method. Even though it's not the best one, and it's probably not the most profitable. It's fun. I don't know why. Some of them are better than others, though. Like the first dose and last dose missions. The best thing that came out of those was the free business, which wound up being the asset lab. The Dr. Freelander's car. I love that car to this day. It's free just for doing all the missions. Beyond that, though, the missions themselves, not so good. Fresh meat. Lucha. Freaking guy with the glass. Wanted to have everybody just do well. Saying clown crossing, never. Um, yeah. So I mean, like I said, even there's always a silver lining, even for lousy DLC drops, like the whole becoming part of the IAA version of the CIA. That was kind of dopey. But that's not, you have to remember though, you have to put it into context though. Like some of those lesser things usually came with additional updates that were really good and beneficial. Like I remember that summer update was great because it gave you double money for each of your businesses that you had owned up to that point when you had sold them the next time. Or maybe it was you get to just do it once, even if you didn't own it, you could buy it and do it. Yeah. Yeah, a certain amount of time. I do remember that that convinced me to get the special cargo warehouse that I've never really gotten. When I first started this game, the very first business I had was a special cargo warehouse, but it was only a 16 crate cargo warehouse. And I was just grinding the hell out of that, trying to save up enough money first to buy a decent car, which I did. Then to buy myself the most expensive apartment, the $1 million penthouse, which I did. And finally to buy my first real business, where I could make real money, which was cocaine. That was off to the races. Cocaine was the good grind. I almost instantly stopped doing the special cargo because it didn't pay off. In the beginning, I was trying to do both of them, but once I had the coke really going, that's the only business I really had. And I remember other friends of mine were like, "You need to get other businesses." And I'm like, "Why? I'm making all the money I need to make off of this one, buying stuff with profits. I put all my effort into that one business." But anyway, my point is that I never really gave Special Cargoes a fair shake. And then they gave me that thing where I was going to make a huge sum of money for selling Special Cargo. Or is it like it might be like three times money or something like that. Anyway, the whole point is that the thing cost. I got the best one, and it cost like 2 million, but I was making like 3.5 million or 4.5 million selling it. So I remember it was the first one I was gonna make a profit right off the rip. And I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make a profit right off the rip, and I'm never gonna do it again." And I wound up filling it multiple times after that. Think of it. Closed again. Takes a while, but it does help that you have Lupe now. You could hire Lupe to go and get you crates. It's going to cut more into your profits, but when you start dealing in millions, like those properties are worth when they're full, then you don't care about spending an extra 2,500 here or there. I am glad that they changed the mechanics for how you make money at businesses, though, considering that that was one of the first ones was the special cargo warehouses that you had to pay. You got to invest into it to get money out of it, but it was really eating into your profits. I guess you could kind of think of, like the vehicle warehouse, the next big business that came out was the same way. But I feel like they kind of moved away from that after we did that. You did have to put smaller investments into things like the motorcycles and stuff when you're, you know, selling when you're sending a sell vehicle through the paint to give them a paint job and stuff like that, and then send it to the buyer. Um, you have to give like 10,000 up front, but you get 60,000 back. So it's a 50,000 profit. But I don't know. In the beginning, they ate up monster chunks of your profit doing the upgrades, or in the case of the vehicle warehouse, having to repair the vehicle. It ate your profits, but I am getting tired. half asleep. Zoning. It's good to be back. Less than a half hour of dancing, and I will be done with another tier 4. Just start whacking those things up. Motorcycle one's next. Getting pretty close in the motorcycle one too, so you know. Way